know, sometimes it takes a little bit to get over here. What's happening over there?
Oh, not a whole lot. I just got the weight of the world on my shoulders, you know. I'm kidding. How are you feeling today?
Oh, wonderful. Thanks.
Looks like you have
Yeah.
beautiful weather.
Yeah, it's kind of smoky, but can't smell it or anything, so it's okay. Yeah. Sometimes those wildfires, the smoke blows in the canyon. How's our signal? How are you doing?
We're doing okay. We're doing okay today. Yeah, it seems pretty strong.
Good, good.
I was actually thinking about going to the Rainbows, Exploding Rainbows meeting tomorrow. I think it's like 5:30 my time.
Eastern that's what I normally do during this time.
And then there's and it's every day 5:30.
Yeah, every day for a year and a half.
So how's that going? How's the meeting going?
Oh, it's really good. If you're not fond of Michael Markham, you might not want to go, though.
And why is he running the meeting?
Well, I started it, but it's whoever shows up. I'd say there's generally between 3 and 10 people who show up.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of people come one time and never come again. It's real informal. It's just people talking like this.
Yeah.
Sometimes we share what it's like for us. Sometimes people ask questions. Sometimes we just talk about, you know, what it felt like as a kid to drive by a chocolate factory. You know, I don't know. Or we talk about our pet otters, or we talk about our cats, or, you know, it's very informal. It's not like there's any gurus or anything. It's just, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's funny. I've got a meeting once a week. I do. And it's funny. It's like the last Monday, we shut the recorder off, and because there was a couple of private things that had to be said, and we went off on this tangent, this non-dual just tapestry of you wouldn't believe the beauty of it, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, we're going back to the regular talk, so let's put the recorder back on. So I turned the recorder back on, and then we started talking about, you know, just regular mundane, you know, like work stuff, just regular. I said, no, this is wrong. We're recording the wrong stuff.
Yeah, our meetings are far too intimate to share, you know. Yeah, although, I mean, there's been a lot of beautiful things said by everybody over the course of a year and a half. And I think everyone falls deeply in love with everyone who's there, you know, even the new people. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, I was surprised. I think it was probably my I don't know, it was probably my first meeting or something. It was surprisingly welcome. I was very surprised. I didn't know what to think. I had gone to a meeting. I'd never been to one. I'd never been to a non-dual meeting of this kind. I had no idea what to expect. It turned out to be it was beautiful.
Whose did you go to?
I think it was the Exploding Rainbow meeting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah, because I've never been to any, because I just have this 1 hour a day and that's it.
Yeah, I think they were presented to me, I think in threes, but I went to one of them, and I can't. It was surprisingly beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, I find them very beautiful. It's like, you know, you talk to a lot of people, as I do, and if there's no intimacy, if it's not honest, then, you know, it's not even worth it. That's why, like, in our group, we don't allow any quotes or anything like that, because it's all about what it's like for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is difficult sometimes to I find it it can be I mean, people can be critical. I mean, it's difficult to talk about non-duality and not bring up pronouns. Not bring up me, I. This and that. So you relate things to stories. And stories
Well,
come.
we are stories.
We are
Non-duality is another story.
right. We're stories telling stories. So it's difficult not to relate that. It's
A dream within a dream within a dream within a dream within a dream, right? A dream, yeah, like the video I just made, a dream of love dreaming itself. Yeah. It's wonderful to see you.
It's beautiful to see you, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah, this is great.
See. Well, I think the last time we talked, you ended up we were talking. Oh yeah, my friend was asking what enlightenment was. What enlightenment uh, was like the day before and the day after. And she was asking for your enlightenment story, and what, how did that feel? The difference between the mundane, going to work every day, this and that, and then suddenly becoming a story of going to work, stuff like that. She was asking for your enlightenment story, and you got cut off right when you were
yeah. Well, it's actually not the day before and the day after. It's the instant before and the instant after. So before, everything feels real. It feels like there's separate things and divided by space, and it feels like there's separate people, different people, and different events and time, and it feels like a universe of separate things. And most obviously, it feels like there's a separate you apart from everything else, and that you're walking along a timeline from birth until death. And so just doing usual stuff, and now cleaning a house because that's what we do for a living. And I had the knob off someone's stove, and I had the rag, and I was just cleaning it, and like, it was just so beautiful. My hand turned into the rag, turned into the knob, turned into the space, into the stove, the wall. I mean, everything just disappeared. Everything disappeared. I mean, everything was still there, but the feeling of thickness and separation was completely gone. No separate things divided by space, no people, no separate moments, no time. Just all of a sudden, it's just so beautiful. It hasn't stopped just being this utterly mind-blowing, awesomely beautiful life, for over 10 years. It's just never stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just takes your breath away. And it's so funny because I had heard there was no self, right? But what does that mean? What does that mean? And I had never heard there were no things. And it's like, oh my gosh, there's no things. And I called it falling into indivisibility. That's what I called it.
Right.
And I called it the big wow too. But I never would have thought that, this was enlightenment. That word didn't even come to mind. It's just amazing, so amazing. And I looked on the internet because Facebook was I was new to the internet. And I looked at all the Zen groups because I had read a lot of Zen stuff. And I looked at the Dzogchen groups because Longchenpa was a guy that I read. And I couldn't find anyone who was talking about this, And I thought, because it seemed so natural, that surely there must be all kinds of people who know that there's no things. But I couldn't find it. I found people who had seen through the illusion of self, but not the illusion of separation. And then I found all kinds of religious people and philosophies, et cetera, et cetera. And then about a year and a half later, I finally met Michael Markham, and he knew there were no things. It was like, wow, there's somebody else who knows about this. Yeah. So I don't think it's that common. I don't know. Because you meet a lot of people who speak about this, but they talk about a source, everything comes from somewhere, or they think that there's no self, but what you really are is awareness or consciousness or a true self or some kind of solid thing that you are. But there's no you to be a solid thing and no solid things to be. No solidity, no liquidity, no movement or non-movement. All of it is made up.
Yeah, I remember one time, this is probably, on occasion this happened, but sometimes I would just forget about trying to make it palatable. And this is before I met you and anybody else, pretty much in pieces throughout my life. Every now and again, I would just say, don't forget this. I'm just going to say what I mean. There are no things. There are literally no things. And I remember every now and again, very seldom, but somebody would say something or quote something. They would come up to me and like this one guy just came up to me and started singing a song. I was talking to probably like 5 different people. I was trying to explain. I was like, no, there's literally nothing. It's just this, but this is not as it appears, And this guy came up to me, and I was so frustrated. And he started singing this song. And it said, "I have no eyes, I have no ears, I have no nose, I have no mouth, I have no body. There is no thing." And I was like, but it was this like chanting kind of song. And I looked at it, and I was like, that's beautiful. And he said, yeah, my teacher taught me that, back in 1947 or something. And it's some Tibetan, song of the dead or song of the thing or whatever it was. And I was like, really? I was like, how old is how old are you? It's thousands of years old. Thousands of years old. It's like,
Wow.
really? And I was like, really? So there's like other people that know this. It blew my mind. I was like, thousands of years old. We're like, yeah, there are literally no things. The people have been saying it within the appearance of time and space for thousands of years, and how that paradox kind of goes. And
I think that there might have been more too, but I think there might have been more in the past. But as it gets translated, if the listeners of the song believe in thingness, then they will translate it according to their philosophy, because we're hearing a lot of stuff that's been translated. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but
no, honestly, it's watered down. That's the thing about extremely popular speakers that I always found interesting. That ultimately, the more popular they get, the more they have to kind of make it fit the masses, kind of a thing, where you're talking to people that would have no idea what you were talking about. If you said I have no eyes, I have no mouth, I have no body, and they'll say, none of this is not real. It is and it is not. But rather than is and is not, it's is and is not simultaneously. And,
right. And there's no one to not have eyes, and there's no one to not have a mouth.
Yeah. This is me not having a mouth,
Yeah, I think unless someone's giving some kind of a method or a path, they won't be that popular. Although it seems like some non-dual speakers are getting quite popular.
Yeah.
So I don't have time to listen to anything, so I don't know what people are talking about unless there's a little short blurb on Facebook or something.
It's absolutely, it's impossible to keep up, and but I still love I love all the different types of genres. But yes, I'm with you. It's getting to be, there's a lot of information out there. Whereas prior to meeting you guys and all of that, I was I was alone. And like when I say, like, somebody would come up and say that, I mean, I'm saying like every maybe 10 to 15 years, I would meet somebody that understood what I was saying. And then they would just come up to me and smile and just start talking to me and then just leave. I was like, damn, maybe I should have got that guy's phone number.
Well,
But
I think that I enjoy being in the cut company of others who like to talk about this, or with people who are in the process of falling or crashing, or in the process of integrating, you know, because it does do a whammy on, and especially if someone doesn't have like a set routine, or if someone's younger, I think it's a little bit harder for integrating, so I mean, I think if it happens to people who, when they're really young, then maybe they just end up in a mental hospital. Have a routine of life going along, and it's just about because as there's nothing here, we exist really kind of only in this communication in the company of others. So, I have a husband, going to work every day, and so that kind of like keeps the story of you going, for a while. Because when this first happened, I thought, why doesn't my body crumple to the floor? Because there's no one holding it up,
yeah,
And I really thought, I thought, why am I not peeing my pants, I really did. I was like, wow, I should be, but no, the dream just continues as it has always done. It's just somehow known to be made up somehow. And I don't know how, but it's just to have the seamless beauty as well as all of these wonderful things,
yeah,
Everything is so precious and beautiful, and everyone is so spectacularly beautiful. It is mind-blowing. The awe never ends. No matter what it looks or feels like, it's just spectacular.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How do you feel about in regards to personally? For me, it's just became a matter of course that I was on my own. My story started at 8, and there's a lot of psychiatry going on there. For my mother, it's basically like, wait a minute, she couldn't understand what I meant, and nobody could. The school called her in and everything. I ended up having to go to psychiatrists and stuff. The psychiatrists were funny. I mean, they were literally funny, and I would make jokes. I would just have fun with them. But so I didn't need them, but at the same time, it gave me an insight to a lot of the way, the mechanism of consciousness works, or like the way people think the brain operates. And I thought it was hilarious, right? But it never. My point being is that I ended up being on my own quite a bit.
Yeah.
And but the weirdest paradox is now that I see that there are people everywhere that kind of share different genres of non-duality. These groups, like with the beads and the robes and the different, like you got everybody, Krishna's, Osho, whatever you want to talk about. Like, what do you think about that kind of thing where there's a guru at the top and they got beads and robes and gurus, and you can wear a certain robe if you know XYZ understanding, that kind of thing. What is your take?
Well, that's based on the illusion that someone has this, or someone gets it, or it's an attainment. I actually had someone kiss my feet once. Oh, we were in India, and there was a girl there, or I don't know, older than me, and I had lent her a couple of my books, and we argued, and she had read them, and she was a Buddhist, and so she thought that I was enlightened, and she went down to, oh, Howard, it was so sad. Kissed my feet. We're in India, it's dirty. So I just started crying, and I picked up and hugged her. Yeah, but yeah, that's the illusion. Gosh, I talked to this other. She's a she's a Dzogchen Lama. I talk to her sometimes, and she thinks I have something, that I've attained something as well. That's part of their tradition. I mean, she really told me once that she knows every time I think of her because she can feel it. You know, it's like, because she thinks I can give her this. And it's really sad. And it's beautiful. It's all beautiful. So that's, you know, when I make videos like you're fucked or things like that.
My favorite.
I got
My favorite of all.
I got plenty of videos saying that, you know, there's nothing to get, there's no one to get it, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I had some Osho people, nice people, you know, but they're, you know, constantly trying to indoctrinate people, and you know, they constantly want you to come to the Osho side of things or whatever. And I just started asking the question, and it basically culminated into why not? It's hilarious. Why not? I said that, you know, you're saying why not believe in Osho as a guru? Because why? And it's like, well, he's, you know, this and that, and he's enlightened, and all you got to do is believe in Osho. You don't have to be enlightened. You don't have to go through this stuff. You don't have to do it. All you have to do is just go with Osho, and Osho will take you there. And literally, that was what their selling pitch was. You don't have to do anything. Just go to the Osho ashram, and he'll do it for you. And I was like, this is beautiful. I mean, this is amazing.
It's a good money maker.
Yeah, I tell you what, man.
I mean, there's some non-dual people who tell you that something might happen if you go to their meetings. You know,
yeah, right.
What a scam.
Right.
But you know, one of the places we used to go to in India had a lot of Osho followers. It's a place where they used to go in the winter from Pune, a lot of those people. And there are a lot of really beautiful, wonderful people that we met there. I got nothing against them. You know, if it makes people feel good,
yeah.
You know, if saying the rosary and, you know, going to church or, you know, reading your spiritual or self books, if they make you feel good, I'm all for it, you know, but really this doesn't have anything to do with feeling good. At least not the ripping and shredding part. No, it doesn't have anything. It's not about feeling better. It's about being eviscerated, you know, and then skinned alive, and then there's, you know, there's nothing underneath. So this is about realizing that everyone you have ever loved is just as imaginary as you are, and that love is the dream too. I mean, this is devastating. This is it's the end of you and your world, and simultaneously the beginning.
Yeah. And there's always the pervading army of people that show. I see it as it's part of the story, in that there's just this army of people that would rather believe in a person and submit themselves or just completely how should I say, just devote themselves to an individual and allow that individual to kind of lord over them. It's way easier to be submissive in that way than it is to stand on your own and be eviscerated completely. Honestly.
Well, you know, no one chooses it though, for sure.
Yeah. You know, it's
have you read, Howard, have you read the Guru Papers?
The what now?
The book, the Guru Papers.
No, I have not.
I highly recommend it.
The Guru Papers. What who's the author?
I can't remember.
I'll check it out.
I read it a few years ago, but I highly recommend it. It was really and there was another one I read because I wanted to understand why so many people believed in God. And that's called The Illusion of God's Presence. And that was another really good book. I recommend both of them. Help you understand the guru circus and all of that. It's they're both very good books.
thank you so much. I definitely will look at that. The beauty of, or the simplicity of the guru thing, to me, it's so, it's the exact opposite of what enlightenment is. I mean, I'm using loose language. I'm not professing anything. I'm just saying it seems obvious to me that submitting yourself to a guru is the exact opposite of what I am referring to, you know, or what I appear to be referring to. You know what I mean? So it's one of these things where you cannot ask somebody else a question, and I mean there are no questions or answers. There literally are no questions or answers. There are no words, and to ask someone else to allow you to get to some level or another is the exact opposite of what I'm saying. And but then I talk to the guru, the people that are following these gurus and their devotion, and this person is holy or that person is, he will get you there. And then I'll read some of their stuff, and it's literally this kind of a oh, shall I say, masochistic or a top in you know, if you want to use that kind of a top to the bottoms of his gurus or his followers. He's this top where he's saying, you follow me and I will take you there because I will save you from the horror of dealing with the lack of identity. And people have it. It's not like I said, no, don't you see? This is what's happening. And I'll explain it. And they'll say, well, I don't want to be enlightened. I mean, I don't want to. All you have to do is believe in this guy and he'll get you there. It's just so ridiculous to me.
Well, people used to go to Osho. People used to go to Osho's because he said that he would brainwash them, and they wanted to be brainwashed.
They want to
He even
be
said that.
Yeah. Why not?
They want to get rid of their story and gain the story of being an Osho man or woman or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're equating Osho. You're like this little itty bitty stream, and Osho's this big river, and he's gonna take you to the ocean. And it's just fascinating. And the more I talk to people, somebody's making this, making these arguments, and it occurred to me to maybe have a discussion with one of them on record. I don't know what would you ever talk to a bunch of Osho people that, let's say, or some guru, not just Osho, I'm not picking on Osho, but any guru. Like, I know a guy that has been seeking, literally like a badge of honor. He says he's been seeking for 50 years, and he loves Osho. Osho's better than Buddha, better than God, better than Jesus, better than Krishna.
Osho's dead too, by the way. Osho's dead too, by the way.
Yeah, right. He's like, and even when he was alive, he wasn't even writing his own books. I mean, it was like Andy Warhol of gurus. Other people would say stuff and write stuff, and he would sign his name to it.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Writing his speeches. It's not even him. It's so funny.
I heard he was trained as a hypnotist.
I don't. Well, the first.
I mean, if you've seen, hypnotists where they, there's 3,000 people in the room, but they all want to be hypnotized. They're there for that. Yeah. Right. And about 30 or so end up being totally, they can get them to bark like dogs and, do all kinds of strange stuff. But right. they're willing. They want to do that. They want to be hypnotized.
Right.
Yeah, there's one person I've been talking with for a few years, actually. And he was in India, and he went to a meeting of some big guru, some gal. I don't know who she is. And that's exactly what happened. There was like 3,000 people in the room, and about 30 people, including him, apparently had this spontaneous awakening. And when he explains it, it sounds like they were just hypnotized. And it kind of wore off. And he's been trying to get this back for 20 years. He's been trying to get back to that place for 20 years. And wow,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same. I was, speaking to some like God, like people, you mentioned God. And I have friends that, I have dear friends that believe in God, and that whole notion of that, that presence of God. and they see themselves as soldiers of such, and fighting for good and all these things. And when you think that there's a source, I mean, when you believe that there's a source, all of that stuff comes into play. All of that, which side are you on? Are you with the source? Are you anti-source? That kind of thing. Are you good? Are you bad? Do you, that kind of stuff where I'm asking, what is?
Yeah, well, it makes sense. Well, it makes sense when there is belief in the dream of separation, that if there's thought, there's a thinker, if there's feeling, there's a feeler, and if there's all this, it must have come from somewhere, or someone's making it happen.
Right.
And you hear non-dual people say that it all arises out of emptiness, so that's a subtle source as well. It just makes sense. And I maybe you have to be instilled with that belief when you're really young, that there is a God. And I've spoken with people through the years, many who, where I've watched that very compelling belief, the crux of a lot of the whole belief system, actually the first to fall, and they'll say, wow, it's just so empty without God.
I completely agree. The ones with the people that had the heart, the deepest seated foundation in a belief, whether that be a source of God, what have you, whatever their belief system is, the harder they believe, the quicker it crumbles. I mean, the easier it is to completely shake that foundation and just have it dissipate. I mean, if that ends up being, what happens. But yeah, the one
it's just wild to see that. That's why I recommend that book, The Illusion of God's Presence, because it explains it throughout the culture. And it's been years since I've read it, but it really helped me to talk with these people who are convinced that there's a God or a source. There's one guy in Rainbows right now, and he keeps telling me I need to look deeper to find that true self. I'm surprised he's still there, but he's like, we get these people every now and then, and he's harmless, but sometimes if we get a whole pack of them, we got to get rid of them because they start taking over every conversation.
Well, that it turned. I had a bad situation. Well, it wasn't bad, but it was like the Osho people just started taking over. I mean, anybody can say whatever they want. You can say whatever you want about your guru, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm not right or wrong. I'm just saying the guru's incorrect for me. So then all of a sudden an Osho thing popped up, and I'm like, I really, don't resonate. I don't like Osho, but in any case, but I didn't say anything, and then another one popped up, and then another one, and the next thing I know, it's like all Osho, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I have to say, there's no more Osho, and because they.
You mean in your group, in your Facebook group? That's what's happening. Okay.
No, it happened years ago, and like a couple years ago, and the thing about it was is that I know people that have had these, that they have these stories and they're not pretty. And, it's just not something that I don't want to talk about Osho. That's not what that's not what I'm talking about. I don't want to see every post be Osho. So I just said no more Osho. And you would have thought that I don't know. It was horrific. All the backlash I got. And, but I ended up getting some people that came out of the woodwork that said, thank you so much. And they would message me and say, look, this happened to me. I was at the ashram and this and that and the other happened. I never want to talk about it. Please don't expose it. But I thank you so much. And I'm so grateful to be here because I don't like, I don't like Osho. And you're not that kind of person that would have that going, that would support that kind of thing. And, it's like I want everybody to be happy, but I cannot support a guru that has this mind meld over his followers, where they're so dedicated to it that they would quit a friendship because you have a question about the validity of what the guru is saying.
The cults are like that. They'll disassociate themselves from their family and friends. Yes. And only want to hang out with those who are in the same community, because it's scary. It's scary that this new belief structure that they've adopted might be infiltrated, or they can't stand to hear anything that's against it.
Yeah.
or
You're either
different.
with Osho or against Osho. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But as
Yeah.
far as followers are concerned, yeah, you cannot have a little conversation about, well, there's certain parts of this and that that might be okay, or this is a no. Osho, it's all Osho. You must buy in completely or not at all. And yeah, I'm just not. That's just not the way I'm wired. Forgive the loose language, but in any case, the sister that had come up, and I was wondering if I could ask you this. Like, I have this soldier of God lady, and she agreed most God people don't want to talk to me, particularly not on record. I mean, they'll do it on Facebook and maybe over to the side a little bit on Messenger, but generally speaking, they don't want to go on record and just talk about this stuff, God stuff, and the presence of God and what that means, and da 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 da. And let's see if we can get into it and have an interesting conversation. For some reason, people don't want to do that, but I've got a lady that's going to do it, and we've been talking for probably 2 years, 3 years now, and so
Okay.
I applaud her for doing it. She seems excited about it, so I'm really happy that's going to happen. But
Well, after I did my Bat Gap interview, Rick wanted to have me on again with some of his God friends, and I just declined. I just thought, because we exchanged quite a few emails for months, and he just seemed determined. He wanted to convince me, 1, that there was a God, 2, that enlightenment happens to the person, and 3, that there's something you can do to get this. Yeah, that's why I've been kicked out of so many Facebook groups. I was kicked out of Tony Parsons' Facebook groups too. So I've been kicked out a lot. That's probably why I made my own.
Yeah, exactly why I did the same. But yeah, exactly why I did the same. And it just never occurred to me to follow anybody else. To follow somebody else is a ridiculous thing to do. You put a guru or a speaker in the position of a sadist almost, because at the outset, you're asking another apparition. You're an apparition asking an apparition. Nobody has any solid ground. I mean, no appearance of an individual has that kind of solid ground in whether they can tell you truth or not truth. So to ask somebody else another question is to be masochistic within the terms of the individual in the appearance. Like, the appearance is a masochistic appearance, asking a sadist, about reality, and the sadist doesn't know anything about reality. They know that, so they just get sadistic about it and get a little snippy.
Yeah.
And you're putting yourself at the submissive of somebody that doesn't know anything that you don't already know.
Right. Well, no one knows anything about this. How could anyone know more about it? This is more like an unknowing. There's no tippy toppermost of the poppermost of enlightened beings that bestows titles on everyone. Because no one becomes enlightened, and you can't give it away. You can't be learned, can't be taught. I made that fun video, Shri Shri Mama Jamba Gigi, and I thought,
beautiful.
Maybe I should put 3 Shris in there. Shri Shri Shri. But then I thought, well, then people will think I'm 3 Shris to the wind.
Well,
yeah, I like humor, and I love poetry, and I love bright colors and rainbows and and sparkly things, and everything's sparkly and everything's wonderful. And there are no things at the same time. Wonderful. Yeah, if people feel comfortable doing that, I mean, it's just, I would never try to talk someone out of anything. If they want to stand on their head and sing the Star Spangled Banner every morning on their front porch, it's fine with me.
Right. Well, the way I see it is, let's talk about it just to see what happens in the spontaneity of the moment. it's like I was bombarded by some followers and of another guru, and I asked them if they would come and the three of them, would they come and please, give me some time and let's do this on record and make your case for your guru, but stay for an hour so that I can ask you some questions. And I can't get a buyer on that, and so maybe I'll say it now. If any followers of any gurus out there want to have a discussion, me and Nancy are here waiting for you.
Well, Howard, no beliefs are really ever believed, truly, They're all accompanied by hope and fear. Hope that it's true, fear that it's not, or fear that it's true and hope that it's not, right? So they're all shaky because they all rest on the main belief that there is a believer underneath, Right. And so if beliefs start to fall away or be seen through, then what does it say about the so-called one who believes? And so that could feel pretty shaky. Yeah.
Isn't that the beauty of it though? The belief is a lack of knowledge. It's pretty much saying this is what I choose to think is real. Yeah, which is a completely paradoxical statement. So belief is
because no one's using it.
That it's just such a ridiculous word.
Yeah, it's just because self is really like an assumption of knowing, or an assumption that things can know, that there is certitude, that there is solidity, and that it can be found. And so maybe what seems to happen is the trying exhausts itself somehow, and then the whole structure starts to collapse. I mean, that's just what I see happening a lot. And yet I know other people that are 90. I talked to a lady who's 90 years old, been a seeker her whole life. So I don't think the exhaustion has happened to her, but no one knows how it happens. Yeah.
I don't know.
No one knows how anything happens. No one knows about anything, because there are no things and no one to know. It's all an assumption. It's all, like even all I'm learning in school, it's like a dream platform where there's all this assumed knowing, even though it's based on all of the scientific research and all kinds of stuff like that. And so, well, especially too, like nutrition isn't like a science where you throw a ball up and then it comes down and you catch it, right?
Yeah.
It's more about laboratory studies, epidemiological studies, seeing what happens, and then, living your life a certain way or not, if you want to have the goals that other people have. But for example, you could do everything perfectly right, eat right, exercise, do all the crap, and you could still get cancer and be hit by a truck, Yeah. So it's like an overlay of concepts and ideas, and they can help a lot of people feel a lot better. So that's the beauty in it. That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that one thing that actually comforted me, because as I was going through my story, Howard growing up in this lack of separation, is I was lucky enough to run across David Baum, the guy that talked to JK quite a bit, and when I was very young, and I loved his ideas very much. They weren't exactly what I had experienced, but they were questioning physicality in its heart, in that physicality is not assumed. You cannot assume physicality simply because it appears obvious to the source of what it's saying things are physical, and you cannot. And the fact that no thing can be defined insofar as an object on the quantum level, say. So when he's saying macro and quantum does not exist, as it appears. It only suggests that these tests can produce reliable results within the appearance of X, Y, and Z. But you cannot say that X, Y, and Z are inherently actual. So he was, and so when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay, this is beautiful. So I could kind of get a logical, readout on this. And what I found out was theoretical physicists will not say, they will not caveat what they say as true. There is no truth. They will say that I can only say that this appears to happen within this testable result or this testable finding.
Right.
And,
Right.
but I love that honesty about them in that way. So I found solace in that, although it wasn't exactly what I was experiencing. I did appreciate the fact that they would not say this is absolute or that is absolute. They can't. What they're saying is that there is no absolute in a physical sense, and I love that. I love that.
Yeah, the web of knowing, the web of assumed knowing, all references other part of it. Yeah, but that's all we have. This is the dream of separation. This is where we live and love. So, if I help someone to lose some weight or get rid of some arthritis pain or other things like that, and I think it's so great. I do it for purely selfish reasons.
Well, yeah, I do too. I love, and you know what? I kind of cringed a little bit when you said earlier something can happen, and I have referred to that before. I get the chills. I get the, things just flow right through me, and it seems like other people get these things going on within their physical bodies, and that's the story of sharing this experience, and that is in itself a misnomer. But the reality of the situation is that does occur. Now I know that makes me sound kind of foolish, but it is what it is. I mean, there are shared experiences that appear to be, going between individuals, but there also appears to be a conversation here. I mean, it's there are no two individuals. It's just that story of stuff. But sometimes tingles happen. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. Love is the dream too, Howard, as well as enlightenment. And,
Yeah.
I've talked with people and I've had them fall through all and everything, including themselves. And I've shared the tears and for some reason I've never talked with someone where, it's kind of stuck. Of course, there's nowhere to stick, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just lasted a week or so, or a few days or a few hours. And
yeah.
On the other hand, I've met a lot of people as they've been crashing through all the mirrors and including their own reflections. And while it's happening, and it's been beautiful to watch. And a lot of people have come to rainbows when things are just starting to happen for them. And I watch them over the years to see, and I just see this beauty emerging and this freedom beyond freedom and this love beyond love. And I see this happening and blossoming. And it's like, I didn't have anything to do with it, but it's really beautiful to see. Yeah.
I view myself, and I view these situations like I view all the little stories of my own. Okay.
Oh, I've lost you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you were finished talking, but it was the computer went down. Please go ahead.
Oh, I wasn't talking. You started talking and then stopped. So
okay.
I'm waiting with bated breath.
well, the thing about it was that as I was going through, it's just the stories of you meet that person that has that, there are no eyes, no nose, no mouth, it's just like this appearance of a person that just kind of comes and goes, and then you meet the scientist type guy, and he's explaining how physicality negates itself, and you cannot be sure, and then you meet another person that's all about a god, and you go around these little stories and these little bebop things that just kind of happen, and I view myself much that same way. Although I must admit that when this happens, you know, like the energy exchange kind of like illusion. And that whole story happens where like I feel something energetic happening, and I love it. I mean, I'm not going to deny it. It's beautiful. I
Sure.
don't, you know, it's
I love love.
that, you know, and so why not ride with that, right? But then then somebody else will feel it, and it's like you know, at first it's scared. You know, most of my life that has scared me. When anytime that you know, I meet somebody that you know they will, oh my god, you know, I can't believe this. They'll get that you know feeling, and I just want to run, you know. But it's different, you know. I don't know. As the years go by, you know, every situation is different. It's not very often, and it's not something that you know. But every now and again, that'll happen, and I just find myself sitting there smiling and laughing about it. But because we're not, there's no two separate people there. You know, it's just the story of time and space and cause and effect. You know, and all of that stuff. You know, just
And
that
even
age
and
of
even that it's a story is story.
it's a story. It's a story within a story within. There is when you reach that pointless point where there is absolutely no subject or object, there is nothing to define, and it is just what it is, and there's no way to describe it, and that's what it is all the time. But
Yeah.
at the same time, at the same time,
And simultaneously the dream of things. Yep.
yeah, and simultaneously the dream of things. You know, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. You know, in that you know paradoxical moment of sharing love, as you say, um, it doesn't necessarily mean you know I used to freak me out because I didn't want that kind of responsibility, and then I just you know it just comes to me that it came to me that well I'm just another you know just like all these different little stories I have of these individuals that I resonated with throughout my life, and yes I would resonate with that person and have some kind of you know let's call it energetic response or energetic exchange, and see from another point of view or something, and then go down the road and lose that, you know, and just kind of go back into my own story. And so it's not necessarily that it has to be, you know, it doesn't have to be anything at all. It could just be over as soon as it's begun. So on that level of freedom, you know, the individual that you know comes back and says, you know, I want to talk to you again. I'm losing it or whatever. I can see where that whole, you know, idea of guru and student start because there's the individual that
They think of them something, but what happens here is if, when it goes away, they blame me.
yes,
They blame me for making it happen, and I get blamed because it went away.
right. And now they can't go back.
Yeah, I never had glimpses of this. So yeah, like some people talk about having glimpses and stuff. But for me, just like all the way on belief in separation and all the way off the feeling of separation left all at once. So some people it looks like they have glimpses and then they get bigger, you know, I don't know. And then other people it seems like they have glimpses and then never another. And so it's all different.
Well, it's so odd that you know I know some of the best. I mean, some of the best speakers seem to have like these very long, drawn out kind of things, and it's a very matter of fact or clinical almost playbook. Did I lose you, Nancy? It's almost
No,
like a.
I've got low battery, so I don't have long. But Lord, I thought I was the best speaker about all this. Yeah. I'm just
well, it's almost like a clinical playbook that you run into, and I think you know who knows, but it seems that people that go over like decades they say that it's like a slow progression. That was not what the case for me, and I do have brushes all the time, you know, but it's not like um, it's not something that you can intend to do. You know, it just happens, and you know it can happen at any time. It's beautiful. So
yeah.
yeah, so that's just my story of that, but the you know the slip of it, this the actual slip of the identity leaving things is something that can be kind of manipulated within that dream. But you know, I mean, that's just another story. I mean, it's nothing that I can say in a definitive sense. It's just is what it is, and is not. I hope I didn't lose you, Nancy. We might have reached one of Nancy's dead zones on her little path there. And we had a good one this week. And I hope I didn't talk too much, but she was audible. In any case, that was beautiful and weird, perfect and imperfect.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm about home anyway, so we did but it was wonderful talking with one of our rainbows. Okay.
I caught a little bit of that. Yeah, I say, yeah. There we go. So that was the weekly between Nancy, Neithercut, and myself.